Hi, I'm Kayla, the Booktube Turtle, and today I'm doing my February wrap-up. So I had another good reading month in February. I read 4 books, and we're just gonna jump right into it. The first book I read was Writer of Rejection by Sara Negovich. This was a reread for me, and it's one of my favorite series ever. So I of course gave it 5 stars. This is a YA dystopian series. Set in a world where when you turn 16, you attend this ceremony to become like an official member of society. And if you don't pass this trial you go through, you get sent to the pit, which is a place for people who they deem criminal. Even if you've never done anything wrong, they are like, you have criminal tendencies, so we're going to isolate you from the rest of society. And this place, like, people are treated horribly. It's just, you don't want to go there. It's not good. This is not a thing you want. So our main character, Rebecca, at the beginning, she's 16. She's going to this annual ceremony, and you go up in front of everybody and put your hands on this scanner, and it lights up green or red, and hers lights up red, and she's immediately taken away. So she ends up in this place, and pretty quickly joins this little group of people and kind of starts to realize that, okay, maybe people are getting sent here that really shouldn't be getting sent here. You know, people that don't deserve to be here are here, that, you know, just don't conform to the perfect society that the people in power are trying to create on the outside. Anyway, so she joins with this group who are planning an escape. And yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. That's all kind of like information we get pretty early on in the book. So yeah, like I said, this is one of my favorite series ever. I love the plot, and I love the characters, and the world is really interesting. And there's so much to it. Like, we learn quite a bit in this first book, but if I'm remembering correctly, we learn a ton in like the rest of the trilogy too, about the world and about what's really going on. This book is also by an indie author, which is always something that makes me happy. The next book I read was Wilder Girls by Rory Power. I gave this book 4 stars. I really enjoyed this book. It's, according to things that I've heard, it's like Lord of the Flies vibes, but I've never read that, so like, I don't know, like, completely. But it's about a group of girls at an all-girl boarding school who are like on this island, and they have been quarantined to this island, and specifically within the gates and fencing around their school for like a 1.5 years now, I think, at the time that the story starts, because this virus broke out on this island, and it started, you know, causing these weird changes to happen in the girls there, both physically and mentally. So they're, you know, attacking each other and just like having these moments of just like snapping, because this virus is doing things to them. And it's also causing physical changes in the sense of like the main character, there's like stuff growing inside of her, like behind her eye, which doesn't work anyway. I will say some of the descriptions in here are kind of a lot, so like be aware of that if you're going to read this. But yeah, so these girls are trying to survive, they're trying to make it through, and they've got limited resources. The like military on the outside will send them, you know, some food and stuff like that periodically, but it's never enough. So like, they are rationing, they're fighting over resources, it's a whole thing, and they're waiting for a cure. They've been promised a cure, and they're waiting to eventually receive that. But at the same time, like, girls are dying from the virus. I think they call it like flare-ups, and there's like different phases of it. So yeah, it was really interesting seeing like how the virus is affecting their lives, and then how they are working together and also against each other in order to survive. So like I said, I enjoyed this overall. It had a little bit of a slow start, but then I like could not put it down. But my biggest issue was it just didn't feel, the ending didn't feel like an ending, and there's not gonna be another book. So like this is all there is, and I expected there to be like a little bit of open-endedness because that was just kind of the vibe I was getting from the book. But there were just so many things that were left unanswered and unexplained that it felt, I don't know, I didn't feel like I got everything out of it that I wanted to. But like I said, it was still really good, and I still recommend it if you like magical realism, horror, dystopian vibes kind of all mixed together. The third book that I read, I don't know if it actually counts, but I'm counting it, was my own novel, Beyond the Gates by myself. I am doing a consistency check for book 3, which means that I'm reading through book 1 and book 2 and making note of anything that is, you know, in the published books that my current draft of book 3 contradicts. That way I can make sure I correct that before I move any further with publishing book 3. So in February I read book 1, and I don't really have anything to say, like, it was fun. I mean, I've read this book like a million times, just throughout the writing and editing and publishing process, so yeah. And the final book that I read this month was Redemptor by Jordan Nfueko, and it was so good! This is the sequel to Raybearer. This is a fantasy duology, and it's so good. It is so good. So a quick, like, just what this, like, story is about. Raybearer follows Teresai as she infiltrates this kingdom with the subconscious goal of becoming close to the soon-to-be emperor and then killing him. She is, like, not aware of this. It's, like, this subconscious thing her mother planted in her head. And, Teresai has to be selected as one of his council members because only the council members are able to kill the emperor. Which is a very, very fast and not the greatest description of just, like, the series in general. But yeah, that's just, like, a little bit of general background on that. So now I'm going to talk about what Redemptor is specifically about. So if you have not read book 1, there might be some mild spoilers for book 1 when I tell you what book 2 is about. So if you haven't read book 1 and you don't want to be spoiled, mute until the little picture in the corner goes away. Okay. Alright, so Redemptor picks up where Raybearer leaves off. So Teresai and her council siblings are trying to figure out what comes next because Teresai has the Ray within her. And they had found out that it wasn't always supposed to be a boy. It was supposed to be a boy and a girl. And she had also made a deal with the underworld that after she anointed her own council, she would sacrifice herself to the underworld and try to make it out. In exchange, no other children would be sacrificed again. So this book really follows the aftermath of that, and Teresai trying to form her own council, trying to prepare for this deal that she's made where she's going to sacrifice herself. And it was really, really good. Look how shiny this is. But yes, I just really love this duology. The characters are great, the plot is great, the world is great, everything is great. And this series just has a really great focus on family and friendship love. And, like, there is, like, a little bit of, like, romance in there, but that's not the main focus. The way that friendship bonds are. There's also some really good asexual representation, which just makes my little Arrow Ace heart so happy. Yeah, it's just so good. If you haven't read this duology, please go read it. Please. It's so good. So yeah, those are the 4 books I read. Kind of going into writing, I received feedback from my editor in February, and I went through it, I made notes. Luckily, there isn't, like, anything super major to fix. There's, like, a couple things, that have a bigger impact on the story as a whole, and then most of it is just, like, minor things, which is really great. And, like, I did feel a lot more solid about this draft and at this point in the process for book 3 than I have for the other 2 books, so I kind of had a feeling that it was going to be a bit better, but that was really exciting to know that I am that I'm like really rolling now on book 3. Like I said, I've been doing consistency checks. At the time that I'm filming this, I'm actually already done reading through book 2, which is like really good. Like, I don't know if I can say that because it's my own book, but like I was reading book 2 and I was like, wow, this is kind of really good. I don't know. I had so much fun reading book 2. And I think it's just because I don't think I've read it since I published it. And there was a lot of frustrating moments during the process of writing and editing and publishing book 2. So I think that kind of like affected the way that I viewed the book. And now that like so much time has passed, I could just read it. I had a lot of fun with it. But anyway, yeah. I'm also working on outlining book 4. That has been kind of, I made a lot of progress and then I kind of put it on hold because I have been working on book 3 stuff. So yeah, but that's where I'm at. So yeah, that is my wrap up for February. What books did you read in February? What was your favorite? I think my favorite, well, one technically doesn't count because it's mine. One was a reread. So I guess if we're looking between like Redemptor and Wilder Girls, it was definitely Redemptor. Like, oh, it was so good. Yes, okay, I feel like I'm just rambling now. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.